Hi, Jodi. Thank you for coming to the show. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so glad to be here.
Me too. I'm so glad that you accepted to come into High Vibes on the Mic and talk about stress, particularly with teens. So you're a therapist, a psychotherapist, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you're a doctor of social work and you specialize, in Gen Z?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's really going to talk to my audience because we all know that teens are very stressed out those days. I don't know if you can only blame social media because that's what I hear everywhere, it's because of social media. What do you think about that? Can it be only social media?
I think it's a huge part of it. I did my TEDx Wilmington talk about why social media is affecting us, but also even more, our modern culture. There's a few aspects of our modern culture that's causing problems. One is an increase of marketing, an increase of access to commercials all the time. Another is smaller and smaller households. Humans are social beings, and it is negatively affecting our mental health to be more and more isolated and not have, multiple people around to solve problems and do things with and understand the world and those kind of things. And then the last one is we don't have to do a lot of survival chores. With modern conveniences, we don't have to do a lot. So we're not seeing ourselves as skilled. We're really seeing ourselves as unskilled. It's not true. We have skills and we have adaptability that has come from our ancestors. So it's not even just us having to learn in this lifetime adaptability. We have survival skills. We have skills to handle things, but we don't get enough opportunity watching ourselves do it.
So do you think we give it too easy to our kids? We're doing too much for them?
Yeah, perhaps. I'm also talking about, in suburban, the U.S., there's a luxury. There's a lot less to do. And it's not good for our mental health because we stop, the way we see ourselves is changing. We don't see ourselves as skilled. We're not connected with our agency. And so then we don't feel like we don't have any. And anxiety and depression could really rise in that kind of context.
Yeah. Mental health is so big right now. So I read on your website that you developed that method called COMPASS. Can you tell us what it stands for? Because it's an acronym.
Yep. COMPASS stands for connectedness, openness, motivated, powerful, and self-sustaining, active and self-sustaining. So that's an acronym for COMPASS because these are all the things we really want to enlighten in our young people. And COMPASS is a curriculum, actually. It's a curriculum for a group to help kids learn these skills and reconnect with their agency and authority, reconnect with a positive self-esteem and build their self-confidence up. It's a curriculum that people could do in schools or in the community. And I think it's a really powerful, it's 8 group lessons. And it has a powerful way of teaching people how to make meaning. Our world, social media and these kind of things and commercials taught us how to make meaning. But the meaning they teach us leads us to think that we're powerless, we're worthless, and we're out of control. That's not true, but it's really easy to believe if you're told it all day,
Yeah. And I saw that this curriculum, you also address it for the teachers. Teachers can use that in their classroom, like middle school and high school also.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I wrote it for health teachers actually, but any teacher could use it in their class. And it goes along with my book, Anxiety, I'm So Done With You. And it's because they're already in the school, right? Kids are already in the school. And teachers, especially health class, are already trying to teach mental health issues, so to help the kids, to help them understand things. And so why not use this time to actually help them feel better? Because this curriculum decreases the symptoms of anxiety and depression. I do have an aspect for teachers because teachers are dealing with all of these mental health problems in their students, and they haven't been trained to do that. They're trained to teach, and they're having to deal with all of this other stuff. So I also train teachers on how to respond to kids when they're struggling.
Okay. Yeah, you really need a good training for this because sometimes those teachers, they don't have all the tools and everything. they need to have all those kids that they see sometimes more than us, during the day.
Yeah.
So sometimes they can see things cannot see at home.
And there's really a shortage of mental health providers. There's many places where there's nobody, there's no access, or they don't have parents that'll bring them access. But they're in the school. The kids are going to school. I mean, not every kid goes to school, but the kids are going to school. And so let's use that place to intervene and try to help them.
According to your experience, what would be the most common stressor do you observe in Gen Z? I know we're talking about social media.
I think the biggest stressor for them, their experience is they feel not good enough. Kids are feeling not good enough.
Compare themselves to the teen, I guess.
Yeah, when you're not good enough, you feel like you can't trust yourself, you can't do anything. So you feel powerless. Anxiety is going to skyrocket. You feel unworthy. Then, if you don't feel good about yourself, you feel unworthy or unworthy of friendships. You might engage in relationships with people who treat you bad because you feel like that's all what you're worth. And then you might do self-harming activities, because you don't like yourself very much, or you don't think you're good enough. You think you deserve the punishment. Those are perpetuating the problem. Kids are having adverse childhood experiences because either they're hurting themselves or they're in a dating violent relationship because they don't feel good about themselves, and it's like getting worse and worse.
I think we're at an age where we should, because I have a 12-year-old, and she's not asking right now, she's asking for a phone, but she won't get it.
Good.
Good, Mama. A long time. Yeah, she doesn't need it anyway. But it's the age where we can say, okay, they are mature enough to be online now without being
18.
18.
I mean, I know some parents who are negotiating with. It seems unreasonable in a lot of ways, but I know a lot of parents who are negotiating with their kids. If they do have a phone for texting or something, they're off all social media, and they pay them at age 18. They give them money to have avoided social media the whole time. But as late as you could wait for a phone, the later you could wait, the better. And if you have restrictions on when they could use it or what they could use on it, that's good. So if it is younger, it's not in the bedroom at night, it's like off after whatever time at night, or put away during dinners, put away during homework. People are together in the house and not separate rooms doing their own thing. You're social beings.
Exactly.
We existed for hundreds of thousands of years in the same room with people. 24/7.
Every time she asked me, I said, the day I give you a phone, I'm going to lose you. So you don't really need it right now because you're not going to be with me anymore if I give you a phone.
Yeah, but you know what? Don't make it about you, because then she's going to think it's about you.
No, yeah, that's true.
Make it about her. Just be like, this is the research says the later you start with the phone, the better your life will be. And I am here to give you the best life that I could give you.
So you have 3 kids, right?
Yep.
And you said also that you foster children, because I adopted a baby 2 years ago. So I have a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it could be different. It could be also the same. So how's fostering children and raising your own influence your perspective on trauma and emotional healing?
Well, when I was only a foster mom for a few years, and then my husband it just wasn't a fit for him.
Oh, okay.
So we stopped, but we had several kids with us, and I saw firsthand the effects of that separation. So even in the unsafe situation, what was worse, the unsafe situation or the separation? And so obviously we have to keep kids safe, but it's so impactful. It was so impactful. It just felt like that abandonment or felt that rejection that they felt I knew about it as a social worker. I understood it, but not until you really live it through it with somebody at that vulnerable age, what that experience was like. And then even changing foster homes. I had a brief check-in with somebody yesterday who I'm going to be on their podcast in March, and they wanted to talk to me first. and they had been in 22 foster homes.
Oh my God.
This person was like 60 years old, so he's okay, and he's made life and did things, but he was talking about when he was young, he was in, those are all interruptions and major traumas, not to mention whatever else he experienced along the way. It's huge, and I'm not saying it's wrong to separate their kids from their parents, but we really have to start thinking about how we can support families in a different way to really keep kids safer.
This case is like it's been 20 different homes. Yeah, I never heard that before.
Yeah, come on, it's just really, it's like incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're helping parents, teens, teachers through therapy, and you talk about narrative therapy. So what is that about? I never heard that.
That's a modality of therapy, and it was started by Michael White in Australia and David Epstein. He's in New Zealand, and it's based on feminine theory and in anti-oppressive theory, and really thinking about life is multi-storied. Our life is multi-storied, and when you have a trauma, often the story of the trauma or what happened becomes very dominant in a person's life. And there's other stories going on, but those stories don't get much playtime or much energy because this dominant story is so oppressive. That continued the meaning that we make around that story and everything, we kind of see the world through that story. And so it really affects so many parts of our life. And in narrative therapy, you're looking for traces of other storylines, which are always there. And you're breathing life into those other storylines. And sometimes it's the story of the trauma. The trauma, we remember what happens to us, but we don't remember what we did. And a narrative therapist will bring that out. And instead of like having a half memory, which leads to a lot of consequences of trauma, a person now has a whole memory, and their symptoms go down significantly when you do that. So it's really a powerful approach.
This is very interesting. Yeah, exactly, because it's when you're an adult, you're like, yeah, I'm scared of this or that because I can remember something happened to me, but you don't remember the whole story. What happened to you when you're 10 or 5. So a therapist will help you. Is it a guided meditation or therapy?
Actually, it's a talk therapy. In my example, well, we're talking to each other. It's a conversation. So I'm asking questions, and they're getting to what's possible to know. So they have like this known and familiar. Something happened. It was awful, but they don't know how to make meaning around it. So they're just kind of on this loop, questioning. And so what it does is it kind of settles that questioning so people understand they have a meaning around it, and it kind of like packs it up. It processes it, and it puts it into a different part of your memory. There's lots of ways you could do that when you're recovering from trauma. And the examples you are giving are people who don't know what happened. The example I was giving, they know what happened, but they know what happened to them, but they're not thinking about what they did to help survive. Which I was talking about. But sometimes you're right. Sometimes people don't remember the trauma. There's a lot of great work now with somatic psychology, really being able to get at that non-memory when you don't have the memory, but it's affecting you in big ways. And so how to help your body release that and how to help your mind release that. Those are powerful ways, because you're like stuck in the nervous system cycle. Like you went into panic because you were overwhelmed by the trauma and never got it resolved because you went into freeze mode or something. And so there's ways that now we're understanding how to finish the cycle and finish the process and help people feel better.
Okay. So that made me feel what I read on your website when you're talking about releasing toxic stress and build resilience. And so I saw that you study diverse spiritual and healing practice. You talk about Omega Codex. What is it?
Yeah. So, just thinking about like re-indigenizing ourselves. How do we reconnect? Reconnect with each other, reconnect with the earth, reconnect with, in communion with the world, in communion with the field around us. Because we're always so protective of we feel like there's all this negative coming at us and we're scared to do anything, right? This is kind of the world we've created, is this fear-based everything. And so we feel that fear coming from everybody else. We're sensitive and we feel that coming from anybody else. But once you connect with the field and feel like you're in communion, like, I'm serious, you talk to the trees, you look at the sun, you walk outside, you wear bare feet outside, you garden. When you're connecting with the elements around you and you really feel that connection, you feel that they're supporting you. When you're honoring them, you feel like they're supporting you. And there's this, you're not afraid as much anymore. So the Mega Codex is a zodiac, actually, but there's 21 constellations in it instead of the traditional 12. And it's a really beautiful system, a really beautiful spiritual system that I've been studying for, I guess, almost 10 years now. It's really changed my life in a lot of ways. So before I do anything, I put some, coffee onto the earth. I say some prayers, set some intentions. I know that whatever I do, I want to do for my family, my community, for the earth, for the ancestors, for the people, the land. And then you feel held a little bit. Trauma is, what I've come to understand about trauma is this feeling of not being held. It's defined as an overwhelm of your senses are overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Your sense of, if you think about that, like if you're in free fall and your senses are overwhelmed, like that's what a trauma feels like. You're in free fall. Like it's this urgent hopelessness, or despair, or like you're going to die. And you're unheld. It's just a great metaphor. And so what we have to do is, in general, make ourselves feel held again. Okay. And that's the healing aspect, is like, what kind of activities could we engage in with other people or with the world around us, with our pets, whatever, and feel held again. And that's where the healing is going to come from.
And before you do anything, you said you coffee in the ground?
Yeah, coffee or whatever. Coffee. It's some offering to the earth.
You
right?
offer, okay. You're offering.
Many cultures around the world make offerings.
Okay.
So it's the same. So if you're making an offering, really, it grounds everything you do in this gratitude. Okay. And you're not taking for granted anything. You're saying, I offer this to the earth first. And it's a gratitude practice, actually.
And you decolonizing self-care. Is that part of this? Is it the way you live? It is?
If you're thinking about colonized self-care, so we're really thinking about, when I get my doctorate, I got my doctorate in really decolonization and DEI. And so I really see the importance of, we have been separated. In colonization is what separated us, trying to get one person to have power over other people, or a group of people to have power over another group of people. But there's so much of our world that's been influenced by that. And one of them is self-care, or even our inner critic, all of this stuff, like how hard we are on ourselves. Those are all effects of colonization. And when we want to really have peace with ourselves, stop judging ourselves, we will stop judging everybody else. We'll stop living in fear and having to get power over other people. And we'll care about other people, right? We'll care about equity and equality, and we'll care about doing good work and being connected as a community. And that, I think, is an important piece, because we can't just take a bath and do our nails, and that's self-care. It makes you feel better, but it's not sustainable. But if we did something like pour water onto the earth and brought food to a friend, sorry, I'm hitting the mic, then it makes a huge difference in how we feel. Like we have a sense of purpose. That sense of purpose is rooted somewhere, in our humanity and in our communal humanity. And I think that's what we have to get back to. So that's what I was talking about when you read that. I love that you read my whole website. I'm like, oh,
yes. And I didn't even finish. I saw a lot of information. I really liked the content. I was really taking
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've had that website for 20-something years.
Oh, really? So are you adding
keep adding and adding, and that's why it's so big. I'm hundreds and hundreds of blogs on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of little choreographer wanted to read the videos and things. So I might ask, different kind of questions. So if you, someone, for someone starting their wellness journey, what kind of advice you can give them? I know you're offering guided meditation, self programs. Where can they start?
I think if someone wants to start, they get a friend who also wants to start.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then you sit together and you say, like, you both share with each other what's on your heart and what you're hopeful for. And then you might brainstorm a little bit about, do we want to read a book together to start? Do we want to do a spiritual practice in the morning, every morning? Not together maybe, but like in solidarity. And get started. Start with something little. Start with something like reading a book or taking a little course or doing some guided meditations, like you said, or just sitting with a candle every morning for 5 minutes. Start somewhere, or walking outside and looking at the trees. If you start somewhere little, it changes everything, because the story begins to change right away when you just do something different. First of all, we trust ourselves more because we say we're going to do something and we do it. Our self-esteem is going to go up right away. When we're with a friend, having that camaraderie with that friend is going to be, it's almost as important as the acts themselves of the self-care, right? So I think that's the most important thing. If when I have a client who's in an abusive relationship, I don't say just leave, just get out. I say build a community.
Yeah.
Because if you build a community, it's going to be a million times easier to leave this relationship. And probably that person has isolated you from everybody. And so you're pretty isolated. Whatever you can, make connections with people from your past or new people or whatever, because you are going to need them to have that courage to leave, or have that be able to stay in the courage that you need to leave the relationship like that. Yeah. And so if that abusive relationship you have is with yourself, because you're so negative to yourself all the time, get a friend, build community, because we're only a self in relationship. So you really want to surround yourself with people who uplift you and who are kind, who really see you, see your specialness and uniqueness.
This is one of the best advice I ever heard, get a friend, because when you're alone, it's so hard, right?
Yeah.
You can, if you practice religion, you can rely on God or spirituality, but having somebody else going the same thing as you're going through, or just helping you, or just having an ear, to listen to you when you're not good. Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Get friend.
Get a friend.
That's it. So I saw also that you're talking about you have a deep interest in herbal medicine. So how do you incorporate this in your practice?
I don't really too much. I might have to research something. It's really just for me. Okay. I love plants. I love gardening. And there's some local weeds that are medicinal, like motherwort or mugwort or chicory, that I like to use, or even violets. I like to use them, make tea from the violets. I use the dandelions that are around. And if you were a friend of mine, I might tell you about it and tell you how to do it. We might make it together. Sometimes I put pictures up online about it, but obviously because I'm a social worker, it would be a dual relationship. If I recommended or sold my things, I can't, that's unethical. But if someone was like, can't sleep, I'd just, be like, well, you could look on Amazon. There's this stuff called, so I'm not benefiting. It's not a dual relationship. I might say there's stuff called skullcap. And it's a mint in the mint family. It's a very small little plant called skullcap, and it's not risky at all, and it's you could buy it from Amazon. So I feel like I could recommend those kind of things, or have someone try that stuff, because I know that it's not like a huge risk or anything like that, unless they're recovering, because sometimes the herb is in alcohol. You could get non-alcoholic, but I don't want to ever risk. I let them know, obviously.
That would be perfect for my husband. Yeah, he can't sleep. He likes to drink. Yeah,
okay. He's okay. He can have some spell cap, I guess.
Definitely. What do you think about essential oil? my mother is all about that, and she came to visit 2 months ago, and that's where she had a whole bag with all the essential oil in the world for anything. If I cut my finger off and I had a headache or my tummy ache or whatever, she was like, okay, you can take this, you can take that. She's all about that.
How was your response to it? What did you think?
Somewhat like, yeah, that's a good one. The one for digestion, stuff like that. I really like it. She had like and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm not a essential oil person. I think in history and in many cultures in history, they used essential oils in ceremony, like anointing or something, like in these high ceremony. Actually, in human history, even things like alcohol or other plant medicines were only used in spiritual ceremonies. Now we use them for recreation, but this is a volatile oil in the plant in essential oils. So that smell it's called the volatile oil in the plant, and so it can interrupt our hormones. It's not necessarily it's okay in ceremony, I would say. For health, everyday health or cleaning, I don't use it anymore. And actually, there's a lot of smells in our beauty products. I try to get fragrance free because that's all. It's not.
Yeah.
Like aromatherapy is good if you have like a real lavender plant and you brush the lavender plant and get the lavender smell. Like that's natural. Essential oils, first of all, it's not environmentally friendly. And it's not a natural, it's a pharmaceutical. But people think of them as natural, but they're not natural.
She makes it with other stuff. She has like she has coconut oil, like organic coconut oil. She puts just a little bit of
yeah. It's like a carrier oil that helps like it a little bit, but still, I mean, it's still, the smell is, and people are getting sick, like massage therapists and that kind of thing. People are getting sick from too much.
I can say the smell was too much for me. So my guest bathroom, I couldn't even enter in it. Oh my God, yeah, it was too much.
Yeah, I try to stay away from a lot of smells that are not natural.
Yeah.
I use incense and that kind of thing, but I don't like.
Yeah, it's not really my thing either. I just don't know what you thought about it, but yeah, it's not really my thing either.
Oh, I'm not gonna like that.
It's okay, she doesn't understand English. So you wrote 5 books?
Yes.
Already? Wow.
Yes.
So you want to talk about maybe the last one you wrote?
Yeah. Let me grab it. I should have it right here.
It's
So
also
Anxiety, I'm
behind
So Done With You. There it is.
Okay.
Anxiety, I'm So Done With You. It's a teen guide to ditching toxic stress and hardwiring your brain for happiness. So that's my teen book. And then that's where my Compass, my program goes with that. But I do have a free download on my website. It's a Generation Z mental health survival guide. So it's a Generation Z mental health survival guide. That's a free download. So that is just jodiamen.com/guide. You could download that guide for free. So it's for educators, parents, counselors. It really gives all the information about what's going on with these kids and what we need to do.
Yeah, I will put those links in the show notes.
Thank you.
And so that can educator download this and they can use it, to integrate mental health awareness into their classroom?
Yeah, so it's for parents or educators or even counselors just to understand, like, why is the mental health crisis so bad and what you could do about it. So it's it's so chock full, but it's easy to read. It's, you can read it pretty quickly, but it's a amazing, it's only 20 pages, but it's got so much in there that's going to help you learn how to help your kids get better or feel better about themselves.
When you work with family and kids, after a while, what kind of response did you get? Do you have like some parents saying, thank you very much, you saved us, or a teen saying, I'm so happy I work with you?
It's just, I say stuff, I think, in a new way. We've heard all the things, There's all the reels and it tells us all the tips and all the tips and all the tips. But this is real, like, based in research, and it helps them understand in a new way. Because a lot of the mental health information that we get online is like, this is just the way your brain's wired. and you're different. That's not even true. And it's not helpful. It makes people a lot worse. And so when they hear it's a regular human response to our world, but there's something we can do about it, it normalizes it in a way people don't feel different and they don't feel like they're less than or crazy or whatever, you know?
Okay. And so if people want to work with you, they can contact you on your website, and you do, I guess, Zoom consultation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
I work with people. Yeah. So they could see how to work with me right from my website, or they could join a group, or they could get one of my programs and do it like a self-study program.
That's right. I have another question, but I don't have enough time. But I have last question before we go. So what do you think about the movie Wicked?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
What's fabulous?
We saw it with a bunch of women, you know, my cousins, my mom, my aunt, my daughter, my sister. And so it was really lovely to get to that group and like think about women power and in friendship and how friendship changes us and gives us purpose. Like help us believe in ourselves, you know?
Yeah. I want to say to my daughter also, she loved it. Like I said, she's 12. I can't believe it. There's a part 2 though. I mean, I'm like, oh, we have to wait another year for the end.
No, we have to wait so long.
But I thought that was good because it looks like they did the same thing as the play. But yeah, it was longer, so I don't know.
Well, the play, right? It's exactly you're.
The play is 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't remember. I saw Wiki like 2 or 3 times. The play.
Yeah. So the part two is after intermission, but it's
right. I feel like I stayed 5 hours at the theater, so I don't know how they did it. But it was really well done. I recommend to anybody, to go and see it. So thank you, Dr. Jodi, for coming to my show. I really love it. I love to talk about wellness, mental health, and today we talk about Gen Z. So that was really inspiring, and I have a lot of friends who are going to listen to this, and I'm sure we're going to appreciate this. So if they want to contact you, I'll put all the information in my show notes.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they will be able to, if they want also to download, the links that you gave us. And I have a French teacher, so she might be interested by this also.
Oh, good. Awesome. Yeah, my YouTube's at Dr. Jodi. I have a live show every Monday at 8. I do live coaching on the show, so I'm always looking for people who want to call in and get some help. So that's another opportunity for people.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you very much. And ladies and guys, talk to you later.
Bye.